What's up, nerds? It's Havoc again. I got another 1v1 for you guys here today on Faymonville, quickly becoming the most played and one of my favorite maps. We've got a 1v1 here against FeriG, who's position 1 for DAK. I am playing UK Forces, on which I am rank 3. And with that, we're going to jump right into it. So you guys will have seen this from me a couple times before. I've talked about this many times. Standard opening on the south side is opening with double sapper. First sapper moves to your natural fuel, the +10 on the north side. Second sapper is going to move to the south side. And then specifically against DAK, I'm going to pause this. Oh, actually, I'll let it run. Specifically against DAK, I like to open with a dingo. A dingo is never a bad option against DAK because worst case scenario, you run into a lot of infantry and you kind of get bullied, but you're able to deal some good chip damage, pull it back to your sappers, get repairs. You're also able to use it as kind of a leapfrog unit to help you get aggressive with your sappers in the early game. Best case scenario, and you guys will kind of see that coming from FeriG's build order here, you run into DAK vehicles. And early game, the dingo is the perfect answer to a DAK vehicle fleet, whether that be 250, bikes, whatever it is. Right here, so really quickly, I'm noticed that he came in here with his bike, which means I'm expecting that his panzer pile that he started with is going to be over here by itself. So you can see I'm doing a quick beeline with, actually it looks like my dingo is going to do a U-turn. With my sappers and my dingo to close on his +10 fuel while these guys hold the green cover that I just built here. And with that, we can see we're going to cause a quick rout, which is great. I'm going to use my dingo to crush the wire that he planted on this side of the sandbag so I can use them for cover. I'm going to plant wire on his side, using the cover here to protect against the bike, bringing the dingo in to support my sappers. And at the beginning of the game with the dingo, you just want to be like super aggressive, super in the face of your opponent. And so kind of just like chasing their vehicles around the map as much as possible as you can find them. Over here, you know, I'm securing this +10. I'm really not worried about the fact that it's not connected right now. Denying the fuel to the DAK player is really going to set them back. So it should be a priority in your early game. You can see here he's got a big sleuth of forces coming into this point, but thankfully because I've got this green cover, I can just hold this position. Dingo's coming in to protect my sappers, and he just can't contest this with all the vehicles that he's got. Like, he would have to focus down the dingo a little bit too much in order to be able to force me away. And you can see how much power I have here just with this one unit. And this is the power of opening your games with an ultralight vehicle, especially the dingo. It's got great anti-infantry capabilities, good armor, and you know it can really chew up these early game light vehicles from DAK. Just going to connect it here with the center section. I'm moving my section over to the right because I'm anticipating that at some point he's going to make some kind of a push onto this +10. And my section's either going to be able to reposition on this VP over here and get a good firing angle on the +10, or they're going to be able to walk in and defend it from this hard position that I've created for myself here. So really quickly, I used my sappers to repair the dingo, getting active with it again. I'm going to back up here because I don't want to get too close to those assault grenadiers that he's got, bringing a section in here to support. Just going to keep my distance and keep poking at the 250 as much as possible. And he's kind of forced here. And this is I've kind of talked about this before with ultralights. Like, they force your opponent to do things that are disadvantageous to them when fighting against other infantry units. So here he's kind of forced to run at me or just take the poke damage from the dingo, which is allowing my section to get into a better position. He does a good job of changing his direction, coming back towards the cover. I'm going to continue poking at his rear. Looks like he didn't hit it with the 250, which was unfortunate for me. I could have picked up the kill there, which would have been really nice. I'm kind of just kiting these assault grenadiers back as much as I can. And as soon as they get too close, rather than take the extra damage and continue to trade, I'm just going to retreat. You don't want to take too much health in the health damage in the early game as UK forces, because you want to prioritize getting to your Humber as quick as possible. If you're forced to go medical tent because your units are super low, unfortunately you're not going to be able to do that. So I think we'll see something similar here. Like, I'm going to soft retreat because he's not going to continue to pursue me. Taking a little bit extra damage there with the dingo. Still actively defending this fuel as much as possible with the sappers. He's doing a good job putting frontal pressure on this territory point. I'm just going to stay in this green cover. Come in from the flank with these sappers. Try to get the angle on this assault grenadier to push it out. Coming back in here from the left side. Good chip damage on the double bike opener here. I like this opener from FeriG. I think this is innovative. It's different. PGs don't feel really great right now for their cost, but the assault grenadiers with the disembark bonus are quite strong. And we can see here, you know, combination of, this is something you should always be thinking about, using your heal as often as possible, gathering your units around it while you're doing the repairs. This is going to pay off until I can get my... Oh, that was a good denial of that decap by him. He's going to push in to try to pick up the kill on these sappers, but my Humber's on the field now. He is going to get the sapper kill. Dingo's responding to the threat on the fuel. I want to pick up the kill on this 250 so he can't use the disembark bonus. Just going to do a quick attack ground through the smoke. And then I'm just going to use this Humber to try to body block these assault grenadiers while keeping them from getting on top of my section if possible, and cause as much bleed damage as I can. Looks like he's going to be forced to retreat here. And I have to pay close attention to the timer here. With the Humber, you have a very short window against DAK before the Panzerjägers are going to come out with the AT rifles. The cooldown for the first 250 call-in from DAK is 6 minutes. So in 10 seconds, I really need to be thoughtful about where I'm going to be using my Humber, because he could emerge from the fog with a 250 full of Panzerjägers and kill this thing real quick if I'm not careful. I'm checking the time here at this point to just keep chipping away as much as I can and leveraging this open window that I have to use the Humber freely. I've decided to lock in Armored here. Armored has some great options for dealing with DAK. Lots of both Churchill variants can be very strong against DAK. The Mark Designate Targets ability is very good, as well as Recon Artillery. Forward repair assemblies. I'll talk about it more as we kind of progress through the tree. But the other thing that I'm thinking about here is getting more line units on the field and keeping my vehicles topped up. Because he killed my sapper here, I decided to start with the engineer detachments tree and just put 2 sappers into queue immediately. Defending this green cover with the sections, the perfect unit for it. Again, I'm trying to be thoughtful with this Humber at this point. I'm not going to be too aggressive because I need to spot where those Panzerjägers are first. Putting a quick mine down. Mines are like super valuable against DAK because of the heavier emphasis on the light vehicles. Hitting a mine with the 250 or with a bike can really put a damper on the DAK momentum in the early game. So I'm just going to continue poking here with the Humber, trying to get him off the +10. Now that we've spotted the Panzerjäger, we can think about, okay, I'm probably going to start moving this thing over to the other side of the map where I can find other ways to be active with it and not put it at risk of running into this Panzerjäger again. Just driving over here onto my +10. Getting immediately responding with the Humber, right? Because I know he's only got one 250 because I killed the other one, which means I know, and I also know his Panzerjäger's right here, so I can very safely, even though this is at half health and not fully repaired, I can respond to this threat of the assault grenadiers with my Humber. And that's what we do here. Again, you know, reducing the amount of bleed damage we take. I'm going to chase this car down because I know his Panzerjäger's still over here. He's got nothing else on the field that can threaten me. I know he's got no Panzer Grenadiers, so I'm very safe in pursuing this and picking up the kill on the 250. And again, this is another big win for me because that disembark bonus is half of the power of the assault grenadiers that he's using here. And so by killing it, I'm really like taking a lot of momentum away from him. Let's get assault grenadiers in a good position, keeping control of this +10. It's closing on that center cutoff there. We're not too worried about that at this point. Maintaining control of the VPs. Decide to go for another section, whether it's going to be used for light AT or anti-infantry, haven't decided yet. But I am also floating a fair bit of manpower, so I feel like a section at this point is the safest bet. The reason I'm not queuing up an AT gun yet is because I don't know what he's going to build. If he goes for another assault grenadier or a flame panzer III or something, an AT gun could be really susceptible to like a double assault grenadier rush. And I don't want to give it away to him. That's like the worst case scenario, is giving your AT guns away to the DAK player. So I'm going to wait until I know that he's got a vehicle that I need to counter before I build my 6-pounder in this case. Planning another mine here, hoping he's going to get complacent with one of his vehicles and run into it. You know, if I can pick up one of these bikes, that's really going to put a bit of a damper on his map control. He did a good job denying this, because I've got 2 +10 munitions points that are connected. He denied it with the smoke by sitting here in the smoke with the assault grenadiers. Sneaky. I actually feel like... Oh, no, he couldn't have. I was going to say, I feel like he could have picked up the kill there on the Humber, but not quite. So now that we've got the 8-Rad on the field, I'm moving my sappers away and turning their sweeper off to make him... to see if I can bait him into this mine. But not so lucky this time. Getting the repairs back up here. I'm considering the boys' rifle at this point as a deterrent, soft deterrent from the 8-Rad. 1 or 2 boys is never a bad call, I would argue. I'm actually going for a double AT gun in this. I think I actually might cancel this second one. We'll see. But I'm going for at least 1 AT gun. If you can bait the 8-Rad into chasing the Humber somewhere and it takes an AT gun shot, you're in killing 8-Rad territory. And so what I'm doing is I'm being super aggressive over here. I'm trying to get his attention from the 8-Rad while I'm bringing the AT gun over to protect. But he's privy to it and retreats before I'm able to do that. Section here in a good green cover position against this bike. He's not going to be able to do too much to that. His assault grenadiers are quite low. Looks like he's just now getting his medical truck. And I'm very comfortable in this position here. 8th Rad, you know, just trying to minimize the bleed by hiding behind the shot blockers. Here again, I'm not under really threat of kill until the 8-Rad shows up, which I can see he's moving across now. Gonna get a quick shot in here from the 6-pounder. So he's not gonna cut straight across to hit my section here, which is great. I'm gonna use the opportunity in this window I've created to get aggressive with the Humber and see if I can pick up one of these bikes. But he quickly responds and gets out of there before I'm able to do so. So well played by him. Getting the 6-pounder in position to deal with a potential counterattack from the 8-Rad and the assault grenadier troops, bringing my sections in to try to fortify the position. I'm expecting that he's going to want to capture his natural fuel. This is his natural fuel before coming into the other side. Oh, just sneaks out of the range of the AT gun, but we're able to get a shot in on this bike and not quite pick up the kill. 6-pounder misses the 8-Rad here. I've got full vision on his Jaegers, so I'm just going to try to keep out of his line of sight here. I'm going to use the building to block his shot line before making my way out here. I actually don't know how I lost this. I must have hit a mine or something. Bike in position here, just defending the +10. I was thinking about denying this here, but opted not to. Don't want to run into close range against these assault grenadiers. You can be really patient. Managed to pick up a bike with one of our mines. Again, this is the value of planting the mines all over these control points. Being able to pick off those bikes is really going to impact his ability to recapture and control the territory. So I'm pretty happy with that pickup there. Using the sappers here to close sections, keeping them at long range if possible. Sappers with Vet 1, you know, they deal respectably with these Assault Grenadiers. He's got a Flame Panzer on the field. I'm anticipating something because I know either... So he's built an 8-Rad. At this point, I'm expecting either a Stug D or in this case, the Flame Panzer, which we end up seeing here. I've gone for my tier 4 as quickly as possible. If I was better in saving my Humber, at this point I could have refit it and got a super early Crusader. But, you know, unfortunately we ended up losing it there right at the very end. Also, something I'm thinking about soon is getting access to snares. It's often something that's forgotten by UKF players that really should not be. It's super important, especially against DAK. Being able to limit their mobility is what's going to give you the ability to slowly kind of choke them out of territory. And all your infantry is going to scale better than theirs generally. So here... You know, I saw him start to approach from the right. We backed up both of our units on this side to reduce the bleed and got some good chip damage in from our double 6-pounder. And at this point, I actually mismicroed here a little bit and forgot to connect this territory, which is costing me quite a bit right now because of all the munitions I'm missing out on. But we're not in a terrible position. I'm going to finish the capture on this VP because I'm not too afraid of the Panzerjägers. Getting a 6-pounder in position to support this push into the +10. Something else to think about when it comes to your AT guns. A lot of players, you'll see them group them together. Against DAK, this can be a really dangerous thing to do because if he manages to spot them and catch them on an off angle, pushing in with like the Flampanzer and a squad of Assault Grenadiers can cause you to quickly lose both of your AT guns and him get, you know, basically steal both of them and get away scot-free. And then you're left with no AT units against a Flampanzer and God knows what's coming next. So keeping them separated in this case so that they have the ability to rotate toward and cover each other if needed is going to give me more coverage on the map and allow my AT guns to better protect each other. So I'm trading manpower here for the capture on the VP. I'm okay with this because I've got reinforcements coming in. I want to continue the VP pressure on him. This is a little bit dangerous. I should have pulled this back sooner. Got a section coming in here to support. I'm not going to push into that Assault Grenadier and engage them at close range. I'm just going to defend my +10. Unfortunately, I only get one model kill with that mine. Rotating over with my 6-pounder. I'm using the attack move command here, and then I'm also using, so this is something I see a lot of players forget to do. Once your AT gun is set up, if you feel like it's in a good position, don't forget to issue a stop command afterwards, because what can happen, and what would have happened in this case, is he very quickly like edged the 250 outside of the arc and then drove it back in. If I had allowed this to continue to attack move at this point, then it would have probably packed up and tried to set up again, and the 250 would have been able to get away. So by stopping it here, I'm going to be able to get the second shot in, I think. Oh, no, actually not. He used a good smoke there, but we would have been able to get a second shot in if he weren't able to get that smoke. He's using the smoke to cover his Panzerjägers here. I'm trying to like get him clumped as much as possible in this green cover. And I'm going to bring in my Crusader as soon as possible to cover the +10 point here. Again, trying to stay in the green cover as much as possible. I'm taking a lot of damage, but we're also buying time. 6-pounder gets a good shot in here. Crusader comes in to chase away these Assault Grenadiers. We're maintaining good fuel control. And I spot... The Crusader is, by the way, is absolutely perfect for this. So I spot him capturing this +10 munitions with one of his Panzerjägers. It's relatively low. I'm confident I can pick up the kill here, but I'm going to bring the AT gun into support just in case. And the Sapper, I think, is moving over to secure this VP. And in this case, Panzerjäger, one lone Panzerjäger don't need to be afraid of. So I just get right up in his face, and then I'm just chasing him down on a retreat for the kill. Not anticipating anything that's going to be a major threat to the Crusader at this point. And picking up that Jaeger is nice. And you can see, you know, the AT guns kind of set up way behind here. Sections are probing out in front, getting the vision. I'm actually a little bit, I think I meant to be, there we go. Yeah, I was going to say, I meant to be capturing that point there. And with the Crusaders, I kind of like to play in between my infantry and my AT guns, responding to threats as I see them. It's a good poke from his Jaeger. And he's getting super aggressive here with his Assault Grenadiers. Nice flank in from the Panzer III here, as well as the 8-Rad. I'm trying to respond by rotating this 6-pounder over. Trying to get the Crusader in position to make sure that he can't get away with my 6-pounder. Looks like I forgot to take it off the target vehicle mode. Oh, it's so low. Good smoke to cover the retreat of the 6-pounder. And now I'm focusing on the Flame Panzer. Hiding in the cover of the smoke. You know, the snare paying huge dividends for me there. I would not have been able to pick up that Flame Panzer III if it weren't for the snare. Taking some poke damage from my 6-pounder. Trying to bring the sappers in to see if I could get this finishing blow on this Assault Grenadier, but FeriG responds quickly here. Well done by him. Now, I've opted for marked targets here, mostly because I'm looking at my munitions income, and also, dude, designate targets, such a strong ability. Provides recon of the whole area, makes targets easier to hit. This also applies to infantry, and 25% incoming weapon penetration. Normally, the 2-pounder is going to struggle to consistently penetrate vehicles, but with this buff, it's really going to help, especially when you're getting those good flanks off. And so we're going to be using this a fair bit in the game for the purpose of recon. And I also can't be understated how valuable something like this is in team games. If your team's making a big push or dealing with a big push from Axis armor or just, I mean, units in general, this is going to provide massive bonuses, offensive bonuses to both your vehicles and your infantry. I'm opting for Bren's against the Assault Grenadiers here because of the high single target damage. The faster I can drop models on his squads, the less damage they're going to be able to do and the less threatening they're going to be as they close the gap. So I'm just going to focus on keeping my distance with my sections and trying to chip down his squads with my Bren guns here. Good shot in here from the Crusader. Obviously, the one downside is not being able to fire on the move, but we're not too worried about that. Bringing the section over to continue the harass on the fuel. We've got the double sapper here trying to defend our fuel. And again, you know, the focus is on the fuel. The focus is on denying the economy as much as possible, because this territory control is going to allow us to build the tech advantage that we want to build throughout the game. So I was super aggressive with this section here, able to get the snare off. Again, you know, snare paying huge dividends for me here. And now I'm trying to use the attack ground because I'm anticipating that he's going to get behind the shot blocker. So if I don't use the attack ground, then there's a chance that it's not going to fire. So we got that second shot in. Crusaders defending the fuel point here. I'm trying to get the finishing blow off. Fire one last shot through the smoke. We pick up the Martyr, which is great. I was going to use the recon to make sure that I could finish it off. FeriG pulls out a pack of his own. Oh, wait, no, sorry. This is a 6-pounder he stole. And I'm trying to use the Crusader to make sure that he can't get control of this second 6-pounder that I've got here. Focusing on line of sighting the AT guns as much as possible, staying behind these bushes. My section is focused on the most immediate threat. I know he can't crew this with 2 men, so now I'm focusing on the Panzerpie, or I should be. He picks up a section. That's a big loss for me. Flanking in here with the sappers. This is a huge risk, but I'm getting in here with my second Crusader to see if I can close out the game. Decrew that AT gun. I end up losing my Royal Engineer, which is a bummer. Start engaging with this Panzerjäger. I'm hoping, like, if I get in close, that I'll be able to deal enough damage to get them off. And we're just, it's so tight here. Dealing with the, trying to keep him from getting this AT gun. Because once he gets double AT guns, we're going to be in trouble in terms of our armor. And now we're in a tough position. Our fuel control's good, but we managed to lose a couple of our sappers and one of our sections there. Sorry, one of our sappers and one of our sections. And the AT gun that we had. Again, I'm expecting he's got the 6-pounder probably here somewhere, so I'm pretty safe behind this bush. And now, oh, that last shot. Either it missed or it was an attack round, but very fortunate there. Okay, and now I just want to be as mobile as possible, come at him from many angles if I can. And I'm going to try to spearhead with my sections. I don't want him to get away with my AT guns. There we go. He did get a pack of his own. So I'm immediately beelining it for my 6-pounder to make sure that he can't pick it up with the 250 and get away. Just skirt around here the outside. 8 Rad's trying to come in. You can see, like, we both know how important this is for him to get. Managed to pick up the 250, which is great. He can't tow away my 6-pounder anymore. He has to recrew it manually. Well, that was close. I think that was an attack round. And it looks like now he's going to go to try to finish the 6-pounder rather than steal it. And I'm just buying time. I'm trying to buy time for this thing to finish off the 6-pounder here. Looks like he doesn't want it, though. So, despite all that chaos, we're in a bit of a precarious situation now, but I'll let you guys kind of know about my thought process here. So, I know he's got double AT guns, potentially triple. It really is going to depend on what he goes for in terms of the 6-pounder that I had left over here. But I'm expecting, like, he's probably going to steal it. I know that the Crusaders, like, while they are very maneuverable, I'm a little concerned about, like, if he gets a P3 out and is supported by triple AT guns, I'm going to get run over, and I have very little infantry here left. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to go for the base Churchill to act as an anchor against those AT guns, because the frontal armor on the Churchill is so beefy, the AT guns are going to have a hard time penetrating it. And so what that's going to do is create an opportunity for me to have a good spearhead vehicle to support my sections as they're pushing into the middle and other areas of the map, while keeping my Crusaders to manage my flanks and set up, flanks of my own to get really aggressive on those AT guns potentially. So that's the mindset here. That's why we're eventually teching into our Churchills. And I'm actually going to withdraw and refit one of my Crusaders in this case because I'm worried about running into those triple AT guns. Meanwhile, while I'm doing that, I'm also going to replenish my sections, get another section in place to support my troops with snares and potentially Bren guns, and help me deal with these assault grenadiers as well. So he ends up killing the 6-pounder. Don't know if that was the right decision for him in retrospect, but that's what he opts for. He's got his second AT gun coming here on the field. If I were FeriG, I'd be thinking about teching soon, at least tier 2.5. He's got quite a few units here. And this looks kind of scary, but if you look at the units here, really the only thing that my infantry are worried about is this assault grenadier. Because these guys, they're primarily AT. They're not going to deal a ton of damage to infantry. And the AT gun's doing nothing, right? So if I can focus down the Assault Grenadier, then I can keep my infantry in these engagements and apply pressure to his AT units, which is going to give me an opening to bring in my Crusader to clean up. We've got our Churchill in production here. Again, you know, letting him get close, but focusing on the right target and then backing up. Okay. Sappers coming in here to deal with the Jaegers. Want to be a little bit careful because I know he had a pack back there. And now my Churchill's on the field. So with this, I'm going to focus on playing primarily center. And keeping control of the center, keeping vision, getting an eye on his rotations so that I can use the Crusaders to respond. I'm also going to get training here for my infantry as his Assault Grenadiers continue to scale. I don't want to be dealing with that. He actually goes for the loiter here, which I find kind of interesting. I don't really know if he was hoping that it was going to like outright kill the Churchill, but he certainly bought himself some time, which is good because he's actually gone for his tier 4 here. So in this case, I know he's got his AT gun center, so I'm going to focus on playing wide. I'm going to spend some extra time with my sappers repairing. What have we got here? Open still. I ended up going for radio net in this game. In hindsight, I wish I had gone for forward repair assembly. This is a highly underrated battle group selection choice. Because you can build it in a really safe position like here, and if you have a heavily armored composition, it's basically a free engineer repairing anytime you've got a vehicle that's in its radius out of combat, which is going to lead to a lot more uptime for your vehicles. And so that's one of my big regrets from this game is like if I had got a forward repair assembly and didn't rely solely on my sappers, then my vehicles that I end up having would have a lot more uptime on the field. So we're a little bit all over the place here. Kind of just probing, poking. I'm looking for his AT guns, really, is what I'm looking for. Getting the Churchill back to full HP here. Keeping my units in cover positions. I've opted for a recce section here to get access to the flares and the extra vision. This is going to help me spot out those AT guns and set up for some good flanks. And between the double Bren sections that I have, I've got plenty of firepower to deal with his Assault Grenadiers. Again, here I'm just poking at his AT guns. Getting the snare on the 8-rad to set up for a push for my Crusader and my Churchill here. Focusing on the 8-rad here, getting out of the arc of the 6-pounder. Back of my Churchill up. Should have taken this off prioritized vehicle so it could be shooting at the... Oh, he tried a cheeky attack ground there through the wall. Almost got my Crusader. Trying to create some distance between my sappers and the P3 that he's got here. He's doing a good job focusing here on the middle. Churchill's just having a field day with those targets. Get a cheeky rifle grenade off here. Deals a really weird damage. And we end up not getting the decrew here. Again, I'm not super threatened here by anything besides the AT guns. And again, this is a perfect example of where forward assembly would come in really key. The forward repair station, I should say. Because I could be getting free heals on these two vehicles and stay active on the map with my sappers or just bolster the repair time. One of my fresh Crusaders comes out on the field. I use the tempo to push in here and pick up his 8-rad, which is a big win for me. And now I'm able to pick up this 6-pounder. And this just leaves him massively exposed. Not having the second AT gun here. And at this point, I'm pretty confident that I've got the game. I've got 2 Crusaders on the field. I know he's got 1 P3. I've cleared out one of his AT guns. Get some good shots in on my Crusader. I'm just focusing on using the line of sight of the building. This is a really important thing to be doing when you're trying to escape the opposition, is using the line of sight of the buildings to block the shots in the vision of the vehicle. In this case, I'm just circling and then going super wide. Managed to save that last shot on the Crusader, 24 HP. And we pick up the P3 with our Churchill. And then here, I think we're going to focus on trying to kill the 6-pounder. Oh, no. Looks like we're shooting at the Assault Grenadier here. Crusader 2 coming in to, again, you know, trying to keep them off the AT gun. If I can keep them off the AT gun, I'm in good shape. Uses the Vet 1 of the Pack 38 very well here. And he actually just loses vision on this right as he was getting crewed on the Pack. Tries to get the finishing shot anyways, but misses. And again, forward repair assemblies here would be critical. And now I'm just trying to focus on repairing all my vehicles and regaining map control. But we're in a commanding position at this point in the game. So to kind of recap, like some of the critical things, especially in the early game, going for the Dingo to counter the early light vehicles or just get early chip damage on whatever infantry forces you're going to be facing is a great choice. Armored battle group specifically, you can always withdraw and refit for sections. We saw this in a game from Ray that I played earlier last week, where he started with a double Dingo. See, I'm soaking up repair time with these Churchills, unfortunately, without the forward repair. FeriG here picking up another pack for himself after losing the 6-pounder that we killed there in the middle. And here, you know, I want to set up for a kill on this Panzerjäger potentially. I fire a rifle grenade at the door. He does a good job of dodging it. Going in here with my healthy Crusader first. I have a 3rd Crusader on the field. Churchill driving up the middle here. Little surprised, honestly, that he didn't pursue this Crusader. I feel like he could have picked up the kill there. This is another important principle I want to call out. When you have vehicles, it's really important to be intentional with the vehicle that your opponent is going to see first. Because whether they're attacking or defending, leading with your beefiest vehicle is going to give you the most options. If I had just had these guys in a control group in a line here, it would have been very easy for FeriG to just drive in, spot the low Crusader, and pick up the kill on it. But what I did here is I pulled these 2 back because they're the most injured, and deliberately sent this guy to the front of the group even before he shows up with this P3, because I'm anticipating that if he pushes in and gets an opening shot, I certainly don't want it to be either a killing blow or close to on the vehicles that are low. Churchill inching in here from the side. He's got his packs in a good defensive position, so I don't want to overextend. And again, you know, another perfect example of why forward repair assembly here would have been a much better choice. Could have kept these sappers busy laying mines or, you know, getting these just repaired that much more quickly. We're just super, super heavy on the armor here. This is that vehicle tempo that we kind of talked about in the other game. Because I have a higher volume of vehicles, I get to kind of dictate where the engagements take place. And get to be a lot more decisive in my aggression than he can. So here, I'm putting my section in the smoke. And I should actually be backing this out a little bit more so I can see his assault grenadier. That's kind of funny. I think this game was played at like 2 in the morning, so the decision making here is not quite on point. We all get fatigued. He does a good job setting up his AT guns to cover the VP. He's doing a really good job of, despite his unit composition, keeping me off this victory point. And again, you know, I'm hesitating here to push into those double AT guns that he's got. He's applying VP pressure to the other side. And you can see here, like, you know, look at my composition, look at his. Like, this game should be over for me. Like, I should be winning this game handily right now. And we are winning, but he's really making us work for it with, like, the map control, with the good positioning of the AT guns. And, you know, all the extra repairs that I'm having to do isn't helping either. So I sense an opportunity here to get the killing blow on his Jaegers. That's why we were keeping our Crusaders in reserve, leading with the Sappers, and picking up that kill on the Jaegers. Just one less unit I'm going to have to deal with. Ooh, artillery, stray artillery shell hits the medical truck. Whoa, we almost picked it off there. That's that nice section artillery coming in there. Forward observer artillery barrage. This ability is awesome for setting up attacks, forcing your opponent to move AT guns, things like that. I'm going to keep this engagement at long range. That's totally fine. It's going to take me a while, but I will win this eventually. And while I'm doing this, I'm setting up for a potential killing blow on these assault grenadiers, because I know if I can pick these up, it's going to be GG. He's going to have no infantry left. Continuing to anchor here in the center with the Churchill. I've got a second Churchill on the field now, because I'm like, man, I can just totally control the middle with these Churchills able to support each other. He does a really good job skirting my Crusaders here and then using the aircraft to cover his retreat. And if we see here, FeriG's got his Panzer IIIs coming in from the other side. And now, this is an integral point, and this is, I want to emphasize this. So he does a great job using his loiter and his P3s, and he's trying to capitalize on what started as a very bad position for him, where he had the potential to lose his assault grenadiers. And now, because of the strafe damage and his P3s coming in here, he has the potential to get pickups on my Crusaders. So you can see he's hunting for them now, right? He's looking for them. He's going to chase this section back to base. Meanwhile, rather than trying to respond to an area of the map that I cannot possibly rotate to in time to make a meaningful impact, I'm pulling my Crusaders back to base. I'm going to focus on defending this retreating section. And in the meantime, I'm going to push up the middle into his AT guns that I know are completely isolated at this point. So just something like, I think that most players, their propensity would be to, oh, I have to respond to this threat that's, you know, going to kill my units, rather than looking for the opportunity to make a trade, right? And in this case, if I can trade out these double AT guns, then he's cooked. He's completely cooked. He's got nothing that he can use to penetrate these Churchills until he gets to Tiger, which is, you know, quite a ways away from where we are right now. Because I know that he's been opting for P3s in this case. So I'm going to rotate in here. Again, I'm going to don't do a great job of it, but I try to lean back in here with my Crusader, cover the retreat with the one man actually quite well here. And now I'm going to focus on moving the Churchills in the path of intercept, assuming he comes back this way. But FeriG does a good job of pathing backwards into his own planes. Churchills, they're taking some repairs. Probably should have used the opportunity to come in sooner, but you can see now I've activated them. And now I'm like, okay, I smell blood. There's potential for me to kill these guys. Designate targets here would have been a good choice for me as well, so I could get vision on them and make sure that my shots are penetrating. And all my tanks are kind of getting stuck on each other here. But I've got this Vet 3 Crusader. Focusing on getting access to the side armor on these P3s, using the building for cover. We don't actually end up getting any kills here. Combination of, you know, slow decision making on my part and good positioning on his. And again, you know, look at this. Like, you know, I've got way more tanks than he does, but he's done a good job of maintaining control of these VPs. So now I'm leaning further into the Crusaders. I want to have the most mobile response team that I can get. I also want to make sure that I'm getting armor training next. Probably should have got it sooner, but the extra penetration and reload speed goes a long way on all of these vehicles. Typically, I like to get armor training after my second or third vehicle, but in this game, I was a little bit late on it. There we go, going for the training, queuing that up, getting my Churchills in position to spearhead for this section that's going to come into the middle. If you're sending a squad to kind of the outskirts of the map, generally having a squad with a sweeper is a good idea because it can be pretty lethal if you're moving to a point and you hit a mine and then you get caught out by a vehicle. It's very easy to lose a squad. So leading with a sweeper in that circumstance is a great idea. And again, you know, we're just anchoring here. Like we're not really too afraid of this pack. I'm just gonna get in his face. I'm gonna poke him. And I'm anticipating, you know, I'm using these things as bait. They're super beefy. So what I'm gonna do here is now you can see I've activated the Crusaders. I've baited him into the flank here. That's gonna give me access to his flank. You know, it's funny. I feel like I should have more decisively pushed in there. But we did manage to pick up his AT gun, which is great. Now we can back up. And FeriG's like, oh my god, like you have so many tanks, right? He's, you know, I'm pop capped at this point. But yeah, fair question to him, right? You know, I've got massive force advantage here. Definitely should have been more decisive in closing this out, but I think from here we're going to see a slow VP tick out from him. And that's it. You know, very sloppy game, very messy. Like I said, I played this one super late at night, so not all of my decisions in micro were at peak, but I feel like you can get a good idea of the main principles of what you want to be doing against DAK with UKF. Really, the early game. Couldn't stop it. The early game, you really want to focus on harassing vehicles, making sure you have access to something like the Dingo, getting to your Humber as soon as possible, and making sure that you're protecting it well, and then adapting your infantry composition to what you're up against. So if you're up against a really heavy infantry composition from DAK, you want to kit out your sections with Bren guns and maybe one recce for vision. But you know, Bren gun is really like the premium firepower for this section. And if you're facing like a ton of vehicles, like 250s, 8 rads, those like the lighter light vehicles, the 50 caliber boys rifle can be a good choice in that case. And then you just want to transition as quickly as possible into either Crusader AA. I could have done there if my economy was worse. Crusader AA offers a great answer to, you know, 8 rad or 250 heavy play, or even like the Flak Veerling. You know, the Flak Veerling is pretty heavily countered by the AA Crusader. Or you want to, if possible, transition straight into your tier 4. If you've got AA Crusaders on the field, you get your tier 4 up. You want to be refitting those out into Crusaders because they're going to scale better against whatever heavier armor you're going to see from your opponent in the late game. So that's an example of how you can use Armor Battle Group. Hope you guys enjoy the video. I'm thinking about uploading team games if that's something you would like to see. I've been playing team games a little bit more recently because 1v1s are getting a bit stale. But if you would like to see team games, please let me know in the comments. And always open to feedback. Appreciate all your time. I'll see you nerds later.